On February 2nd, 2026, I was not able to go to any of my classes because I couldn't find anybody to watch my daughter. Because of this, I missed the quiz and I was already so behind and confused. I understand being a parent that I have a lot of responsibilities, when it comes to my child. And, that day I couldn't find anybody to, watch my baby. So I had to make the difficult decision to not go to class because, I gotta take care of my baby. And, but of course I also had to go to class, but I can't just, leave her at home or, something like that. So that made me feel, very, overwhelmed as far as, the decision that I had to make.
Family is motivational to me because they help me when I'm at my lowest and when I feel like giving up. I've injured myself so much throughout the semester that I wanted to drop out. On March 13th, 2026, I injured my leg really bad and it made it kind of difficult for me to walk to class every day. I wanted to drop out and I did not want to continue my education here at TSU. So I text my grandmother and I let her know everything that was going on with me. And from March 14th, 2026 till now, she's been texting me every morning that she's proud of me and that I got this and I do not have to give up on school. That gave me so much motivation to keep going and not end my career right here because I knew that I had someone in my corner that was very proud of me and wanted me to succeed in life. This gave me so much motivation because I know that I didn't want to give up, but since I was going through so much, I didn't want to continue and I just felt like I had a lot on my plate. That's how that's when my grandmother decided she decided to continue to motivate me and push me and be there for me. And that is why I'm so grateful for having family as a motivation.
On February 29th, my grandmother dis- displayed comfort in the most her way, if I can put it. Um, on February 9th, 2026, I found myself questioning myself a lot, feeling lost and behind, living in my head, overthinking as I usually do, and wondering if anybody struggles the same as me. I tend to want to have it all figured out, but it's not that easy, and I know that I never will. I'm always growing as a human. Every day is another day to make a difference, and I may not be where I thought I would be at this current day, but I'm here. I'm somewhere living in an answered prayer of mine. Answered prayer of mine. I'm alive. I just really have to keep trying, and my grandmother had sent pictures to me, just reminding me that, I got this. Keep going. This is who I'm doing it for. Younger me, my family, and just giving me that sense of comfort and grounding me, you know, that no matter what, I'm okay. And I didn't even have to tell her anything. It's just me knowing that she's always praying for me and, overall hoping for the best for me in my life. How did family affect us this semester? For Ariana, it was 50%. For Zamira, it was 70%. For Italy, it was 10%. For Brandon, it was 30%. And for Josh, it was 20%. Family impacts us in almost every aspect of our lives, to home life and the decisions we choose to make. Especially as we become adults, our families affect us by always being there for the good and bad. They can be overwhelming, but also provide a sense of comfort and motivation as we figure out life. Family is a positive element because they keep us grounded and makes us feel safe despite real world challenges.
College is very challenging, especially for me being in high school last semester and this semester being in college. I thought college would be a lot like high school. I was showed different on March 11th, 2026. It was the first time I sat and looked at my grades, and my midterm grades were horrible. I never was a student to have bad grades, but not being reminded to do work as much as you would be in high school caused me to have missed assignments throughout the semester. The workload of trying to balance football, workouts, meetings, and classes caused me to stay up late to catch up on work when I would have to wake up at 6 a.m. for workouts. I would be very sluggish after morning workouts and either didn't go to class or didn't fully participate in class. I just couldn't get the hang of it, didn't understand time management, and I was a very bad procrastinator. Over time, I learned that being in college would be a very hard challenge, and it comes with discipline and responsibility. Teachers are not going to repeat themselves much, and you have to be disciplined enough to get your own work done. This impacts me in a positive way because it causes me to be organized and to stay on top of my priorities. It also shows me that the journey throughout college will be very challenging and have its ups and downs.
One way that school has been fun for me at TSU is the interesting academic discussions in some of the classes. Some classes, such as psychology, our current class, sociology, or even English class, sometimes have very interesting discussions that keep us engaged. So for me, that is the fun aspect of school. One specific example of this is on March 23rd, 2026, in psychology class. We had a discussion about psychoactive drugs and their effect on the brain. And this discussion went into even greater things such as how different drugs get perceived based off race, gender, etc. How certain communities get criminalized for certain drug use, while other communities it just gets seen as just, normal. How money can affect these things, how can it can affect addiction, how addiction, is can be not a choice necessarily. Just very interesting topics that keep you engaged. And these help to make school more fun and help to enhance your performance in the class, honestly. So, this is one way that school has been very fun for me throughout this semester.
The amount of discipline that comes from college is, I won't say cruel, but it is definitely something that you do have to adjust to. Especially, I mean, for some people it may not, be a hard adjustment, but I know at least for myself, and I can, maybe vouch for a few others. Excuse me, it is a bit hard to make a transition, and also it's just like like being in the space of college, working around certain schedules, um, the urge to, you know, work on your time management, your procrastination, and all these things. Even as you may try to work on it, may not get it right at the first try, but um, overall, I feel like staying throughout, the journey of college, it teaches you discipline every day, honestly. Um, on, sorry, on January 29th, I had a pretty good day. I went to all my classes. I went to a game. I'm sure a basketball game with my best friend. I was a bit tired and felt like it would just be the weather. But also excited to see my grandmother because I knew she would be there. Later on, I wrote about the game. Me and my best friend got permanent jewelry. That's something I really love. It's a good investment. But back to the topic. Um, Having that schedule and making sure that you get those things done, like, hey, going to all my classes. I if I didn't go to all of them, or if I for instance missed two, like 9 times out of 10 I wouldn't have went to the game because it just would feel off. It's almost like a sense of guilt, but it's also just that discipline that if you don't handle, more important business, there is, I don't want to say there's no fun, but definitely always take care of business first. And that's what college teaches you. That's what it disciplines you. Or, more so, I guess I don't want to say change your mind, but it definitely pushes you to push yourself further and harder and instill, those things in you that, you got to get stuff done. You have to meet these deadlines. You have to communicate, use your resources. You got to make sure that you take care of you while also getting your education. So, how much did school affect us this semester? For Ariana, it was 80%. For Zamira, it was 90%. For Italy, it was 80%. For Brandon, it was 70%. And for Josh, it was 40%.
Work is helpful for me because it gives me money when I'm at my lowest and when I really need it. On on April 1st, I had a doctor's appointment and I did not know how I would get there, and I have to go to every doctor's appointment due to my medical history. I didn't have a ride there. So then I it was around 9:30 in the morning on April 1st, 2026. I was stressing about how I would get to the doctor, and then I had got paid within the next hour. The money from my job helped me to where I would not miss my doctor's appointment and to where I would be able to have money when I need it and continue going.
On April 12th, 2026, I had to go to work at 2, but I did not want to go at all. After going to class and then having to go to work at 2, I did not want to go at all. See, I work at Pizza Hut and I only get paid $13 an hour, and it's definitely not that much amount of work for the amount of money I'm getting paid, but it's just starting to get really annoying. And this day, April 12th, 2026, I closed, and then one of my coworkers said that I didn't prep enough or I didn't close properly. Like, I didn't take out the trash, and there was still stuff in the sink, and I'm like, but I know I did. So that was just very kind of annoying and irritating to me, because it's like I'm only getting paid $13 an hour, so it's not like I'm finna be doing more work, but I know that I closed properly, so that was very annoying.
Throughout the semester, work has been very stressful for me in a lot of different ways. These ways include getting in the way of important things such as school, football, and family. A specific example in relation to football is on April 11th, 2026, I had spring practice. Also, this day, I had been scheduled for a shift at my job, my valet job. I told my boss about a week before that I wasn't going to be able to make this shift because I have practice. I explained to him, like, I'm competing for a starting job right now. Missing practice is not ideal. So I communicated this with him and he understood. He understood. And come a week later, I'm still on the schedule. He forgot about it and he didn't communicate with me that I was still on the schedule. So therefore, the day of practice, I was in a dilemma and I had to communicate with my coach. And my coach ended up telling me just to go to work, but it was just very stressful because how do I compete for a starting job while also having to worry about supporting myself at this school that doesn't give great NIL opportunities? So I have to work. So that was very stressful and that kind of messed up my whole week. And I had to make some changes when it came to work. And I had to start communicating with my boss like even more, like being on him every day because work can't keep getting in the way of football if I want to be successful.
How much did work affect us this semester? For Ariana, it was 10%. For Zamira, it was 10%. Italy, 10%. Brandon, 10%. And Josh, 1%.